Philippines shatters growth forecasts. That single headline sent shockwaves through the global financial community, capturing the attention of investors, economists, and policymakers everywhere. It was a moment that marked a dramatic shift in how the world viewed the Philippines, a country long overlooked in the race for economic dominance. That headline stunned global financial markets. Investors scrambled to reassess their strategies, and newsrooms buzzed with urgent updates. The Philippines, once considered a minor player, was suddenly at the center of the world's economic conversation. In trading rooms worldwide, analysts were caught off guard. Many had underestimated the country's potential, and now they were racing to understand what had changed so dramatically. For years, the Philippines was seen as a nation of unfulfilled potential. Decades of political instability, economic mismanagement, and natural disasters had left a mark on its reputation. The world saw images of poverty and hardship, rarely noticing the seeds of progress quietly taking root. But now, the numbers told a different story. The economy was soaring. Growth rates were not just improving, they were breaking records, outpacing even the most optimistic forecasts. Boardrooms in Manila erupted in celebration as the country's achievements finally gained recognition. The country's GDP was growing at rates that rivaled, and sometimes even surpassed, China. This was no small feat. For years, China had been the benchmark for rapid development, but the Philippines was now challenging that narrative, showing the world that it too could be an engine of growth in Asia. Suddenly, Manila was on everyone's radar. International news outlets began to feature the city in their headlines, and global investors started to pay close attention to the opportunities emerging in the archipelago. This wasn't a fluke, it was a sustained trend, signaling deep changes within the country. New infrastructure projects, a booming service sector, and a surge in foreign investment were all signs that the Philippines was undergoing a true transformation. For too long, the Philippines was a blind spot, overshadowed by political controversies and natural disasters. Headlines focused on crises, missing the quiet resilience and determination of its people. But these headlines missed the real story, a nation quietly building economic momentum. In factories, offices, and construction sites, Filipinos were working tirelessly to create a better future, often out of the global spotlight. For over a decade, the Philippines has been among the world's fastest-growing economies. Its rise has been steady, driven by a combination of strong domestic demand, a vibrant workforce, and increasing integration with the global economy. This fact surprises those who remember only the crises of the past. For many, the image of the Philippines is still shaped by memories of hardship, but the reality on the ground is changing fast. The economic data now tells a story of resilience and transformation. Growth is not just a number, it's visible in the rising skylines, the bustling streets, and the optimism of a new generation. A young, dynamic workforce and strong global ties are fueling this rise. The Philippines has become a hub for technology, business process outsourcing, and innovation, attracting talent and investment from around the world. The world is finally taking notice. International media, investors, and policymakers are now looking to the Philippines as a model of emerging market success, eager to understand the factors behind its remarkable turnaround. The Philippines is rewriting its economic narrative, one that deserves a closer look. It's a story of perseverance, innovation, and the power of a nation determined to rise above its challenges. It's time to move beyond the old headlines and see the substance of its success. The Philippines is no longer just a story of crisis, it's a story of hope, ambition, and a future that's brighter than ever. The real story is not about crisis, but about a nation on the move. Let's dive in and discover how the Philippines is shaping its destiny, one headline at a time. To truly understand the Philippines' economic journey, it's essential to look beyond the surface and consider the broader context. The country's story is more complex than simple numbers or rankings can reveal. For decades, the Philippines has been shaped by a unique blend of history, politics, and resilience, all of which have influenced its economic path. For many years, the Philippines lagged behind its Southeast Asian neighbors, such as Vietnam and Indonesia, when it came to GDP per capita. This gap in economic performance was often highlighted in international reports and discussions, painting a picture of a nation struggling to keep up with the rapid progress seen elsewhere in the region. This persistent underperformance fueled the infamous "sick man of Asia" narrative, a label that stuck for decades and shaped both local and global perceptions of the country's potential. headlines and public opinion reinforced the idea that the Philippines was destined to lag behind. However, focusing only on static comparisons misses the real story, the pace and direction of change. While the Philippines' GDP per capita remains lower than some of its neighbors, its recent growth rate has been among the fastest in the region. This acceleration signals a significant shift in the country's economic trajectory. The country is now closing the gap at a remarkable pace. Decades of slow growth, political instability, and missed opportunities once shaped a negative image, but those days are rapidly fading into history. The Philippines is no longer defined by its past struggles. Today, robust economic growth and renewed investor confidence are rewriting the narrative. The Philippines isn't stuck in the past, it's accelerating into the future, driven by a young workforce, expanding industries, and ambitious infrastructure projects. The real story is about direction, not just position. The nation is building momentum for a major leap forward, fueled by optimism, innovation, and a determination to succeed on the global stage. It's time to look past outdated perceptions and recognize the Philippines for what it is today, a country on the rise, ready to seize new opportunities and redefine its place in the world. Simple comparisons create a false sense of stagnation. Comparing today's GDP per capita ignores where each country started. Imagine 3 marathon runners. One started far behind, but is now gaining fast. That's the Philippines, once lagging, now catching up. Political turmoil and protectionist policies held it back for years. Meanwhile, Vietnam and Indonesia surged ahead with reforms. But since 2010, the Philippines has posted some of Asia's highest growth rates. It's been closing the income gap, not falling further behind. The real story is momentum, not just rankings. The idea of stagnation is simply false. The Philippines is a dynamic, resilient economy in pursuit. Focus on the current momentum, not the historical gap. This is a story of convergence. 2010 marked a turning point for the Philippine economy. Under President Benigno Aquino III, GDP grew over 6% annually for 6 years. The country earned the title, Asia's Rising Tiger. Credit ratings were upgraded to investment grade, boosting investor confidence. This growth happened as the world recovered from the 2008 financial crisis. Aquino's focus on governance, anti-corruption, and infrastructure paid off. But global trends also played a role. Low interest rates and a booming BPO sector fueled growth. Remittances from overseas Filipino workers provided stability. The Aquino years showed what's possible when good governance meets global opportunity. The narrative shifted. The Philippines became a credible investment destination. High growth was no longer a dream, it was reality. A new foundation was set for the future. Rodrigo Duterte's presidency brought controversy and concern. His leadership style was often described as bold and unorthodox, sparking intense debates both at home and abroad. Many wondered how his approach would impact the country's economic trajectory. Many feared his policies would derail economic progress. Investors and business leaders watched closely, worried that political instability or sudden policy shifts could threaten years of steady growth. Growth slowed slightly, but the real story was global headwinds, rising U.S. interest rates, and the escalating U.S.-China trade war. These external shocks created uncertainty for emerging markets everywhere, not just the Philippines. The Philippines' export sectors struggled to keep pace, facing stiffer competition and weaker demand abroad. Factories and exporters felt the pinch, but the economy as a whole remained surprisingly resilient. OFW remittances and the booming BPO industry continued to drive domestic consumption. Millions of Filipino families relied on money sent home from overseas, while call centers provided stable jobs and attracted foreign investment. These internal strengths acted as shock absorbers, buffering the country from global economic turbulence. Everyday life in cities and towns continued, with malls and markets bustling despite the headlines. Critics focused on political drama, often missing the underlying economic resilience. Headlines were filled with controversy, but beneath the surface, the fundamentals remained strong. The ambitious Build 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 program also supported growth, creating jobs and modernizing infrastructure. New roads, bridges, and airports helped connect communities and boost productivity. The Duterte years proved that deep structural factors, like a young workforce, strong consumer demand, and robust remittances, matter more than any single leader. Economists noted that these strengths provided a solid foundation. The economy's foundations were strong enough to weather turbulence. Even as storms raged, both literally and figuratively, the country stood firm. Despite challenges, the Philippines outperformed most of its peers in Southeast Asia. Growth rates remained competitive, and the country avoided the worst-case scenarios predicted by skeptics. The narrative of collapse never materialized. Instead, the nation demonstrated an ability to adapt and thrive, even in the face of adversity. The country's resilience was undeniable, powered by the optimism and determination of its people. As the Duterte years ended, the Philippines emerged stronger, ready to face new challenges ahead. Then came COVID-19, a shock that halted nearly a decade of growth. In 2020, the economy shrank by 9.5%, its worst contraction since World War II. Services, tourism, and retail, pillars of growth, were devastated. Strict lockdowns, though necessary, paralyzed economic activity. Millions lost jobs, and small businesses struggled to survive. The pandemic exposed the fragility of a consumption-driven economy. Years of gains were erased in months. The growth story hit a wall. Recovery looked daunting. But the story didn't end there. In 2021, the economy rebounded with 5.7% growth, accelerating to 7.6% in 2022. The Philippines outpaced most of Asia in recovery. Eased restrictions unleashed pent-up demand. Revenge spending revived services. The BPO sector adapted and expanded, exports recovered, and remittances remained strong. The fundamentals that drove pre-pandemic growth proved resilient. The rapid rebound surprised many. The Philippines' ability to absorb shocks and bounce back was reaffirmed. Resilience is the defining trait of its economic journey. The nation was back on track. The real drivers of the Philippine economy aren't just in the presidential palace. Three engines power its growth: OFW remittances, the BPO industry, and a young dynamic population. Remittances provide stable income and fuel consumption. The BPO sector creates millions of jobs and a new middle class. A young population means a growing workforce and strong domestic demand. These engines make the economy less vulnerable to global shocks. The government's role is to facilitate, invest in infrastructure, education, and fair regulation. When these fundamentals are supported, the economy thrives. The story is about people and businesses, not just politics. The Philippines' strength lies in its engines of growth. That's what drives its surprising success. The Philippines' economic story is one of strength and resilience. Headlines often miss the real drivers: remittances, BPOs, and a young population. Growth has been a collective effort, not the work of any single leader. Deep economic structures and global trends shape the nation's destiny. Challenges remain: inequality, infrastructure, and job creation. But the foundation for growth is stronger than ever. The key is to keep investing in people and smart regulation. The Philippine story invites us to look deeper and question easy narratives. Its potential is defined by resilience and vision for the future. The conversation about its next chapter is just beginning.